Hanukkah is an interesting dichotomy in our tradition because before you had CNN and MSNBC and Fox with different perspectives, you had the people who put together the Talmud and Mishnah, and you had the liturgists who put together our davening. And the Hanukkah was a big conflict for them because if you look in the Gemara, there's one small little section about Hanukkah in the entire canon of the Gemara, but yet you have a whole book about Purim. And these are the two rabbinic holidays. And so why was Hanukkah such a challenge? And the pasuk, the area in the Talmud says that you celebrate Hanukkah. Why? Because of the oil that reappeared for 8 days. And which is a funny idea because there's a halacha that overrides the impurity of the oil, which is for the sake of the community, you can still use the impure oil. So what's the big deal? So, and then in the liturgy, there's a lot more about the war that we won against the Greeks, theoretically. So really what's going on here is it was a civil war in the time of Hanukkah because you had Jews fighting Jews. You had the Hellenism that was going on where the Greeks were trying to transform Jews into Greeks like all the other peoples that they were dealing with. So you had Jews fighting amongst Jews. And the rabbis, when they were putting together the Gemara, did not like the idea of talking about Jews fighting with Jews. In the Purim story, it's not Jews versus Jews, it's Jews versus not the Jews. But in the Hanukkah story, you really had the Hellenists fighting against the Hashmonaim, for example. And so they didn't like that story when they were putting together the Mishnah and the Gemara. But the liturgists came many centuries later. The fights were different at that point. Now, it wasn't Jews fighting Jews. Now it was Jews against the world again. So and it was also remembering the rededication of the Beit HaMikdash story and Sukkot happening. So their concerns were different. If you look at the Parshat that's coming up, you have this kind of same sensitivity, knowing that there's multiple concerns. And where you have the hint, not related to Hanukkah, but just the way of thinking, is that Yaakov is not called Yaakov in the story when the sons come back and say we have to go bring Binyamin back to Egypt. He's called Yisroel. And he also says to the sons, he says, El Shaddai, he's the one that's going to be in charge of this whole situation, as opposed to Elohim. So really the idea is that I think sometimes you need CNN and sometimes you need Fox News, and you got to figure out is, at least in the Hanukkah story, is your focus purity, which is what the rabbis were focusing on, or is the focus going to be maybe there's a time to fight, like go to war, like Abraham did with the kings, and we did when we were fighting against the Greeks. So you got to figure out the balance, and have a great week and a happy Hanukkah. Israel,